It is a full reversed grid as always, although it looks like only 16 have been reversed for some reason. So you've got Scott Bugner 16th, Martin 15th, Edmondson in 14th with on pole position, Kenny Press and Reese Bell alongside him. The lights go off for the final time this season. We're racing in the VRRC Civic Cup and off towards Redgate we go. Watch the leaders, watch the big hitters in the championship coming from the back of the field, and watch for chaos through the first couple of corners. It will be Press who holds on to the advantage, then Mark Hughes there in second, and there's already contact. That's John Jones into the side of Joel Lask. Joel Lask is off the road, and that is the last thing that he needed for his hopes of hanging on to 5th place in the championship.
Was there a pun in there? Did I hear a pun? Was it a Lask thing that he needed? Because that would be a bit of a kick in the teeth. But Reese Bell going through Old Hairpin comfortably in 3rd place. Carl Felvers, Elliot Dalton-Ayres. Elliot Dalton-Ayres now just needs to really finish anywhere ahead of Lask. And at the moment, that's not looking too difficult. He just needs to keep it clean as best he can. The fight for 3rd position has Paul Laramie involved as Reese Bell stays alongside him, stays ahead of him, sorry, as Brad Smith flies it and takes advantage of Paul Laramie going a little bit wide. Eric Axelsson getting involved though, trying to go 3 wide in towards Coppis. It's all getting a little messy. Axelsson on the inside is probably always going to come out of that one safe and sound, but he has the HFT teammates just behind him as John Jones flies off the circuit. Loads of action going on, but at the moment it's Kenny Press still leading, followed by Hughes, Reese Bell, Smith, and then Axelsson, Dalton-Ayres and Felvers. Where else are we looking? We're looking at John Jones getting hit wide.
And that was because Josh... Oh, what's going on there? Someone's around. That's Dorman, I think, around. And that was someone gaining lots of places. On the way in, it was Josh Martin and Max Edmondson tangling, which sent John Jones off. He was completely innocent in all of that. But then something else happened on the exit of the final chicane. Down into Redgate. Press leads the way. Bell second. Hughes is third. There go the 2 teammates working in tandem. Scott Bugner into 9th. Joel Lask into 10th. And both of them up the inside of Josh Martin. That's significant for Martin and not in a good way because he's losing places, losing points for 3rd place. They're losing paint and almost losing control down the hill. They do. Sideways for Hughes. Brad Smith goes through. Hughes is slow off the corner, and so Eric Axelsson and Elliot Dalton-Ayres get the run heading up the hill.
I'll tell you what, Hughes may be losing positions, but he did well to hold on to the car. It was a fantastic bit of driving through Old Hairpin. He's going to lose the positions as Axelsson blends his way through quite nicely, and I think Dalton-Ayres is going to try and follow suit. No, Hughes comes back on the circuit and snaps that door shut, much to the annoyance of the HFT car just behind him, but he runs wide, so he may well lose that position. Now, yes, he does. Elliot Dalton-Ayres nicely go. I think there's a little bit of lag there. I'm going to very quickly blame the lag because there was a bit of glitching in and out left and right, so a bit of a shame. Scott Bugner, then Max Edmondson in 7th place. So Bugner and Lask. I was about to say Bugner's just going to let his teammate through there, but it didn't look anything nice about that one.
Yeah, okay, well, through goes Lask, but that was a little bit unexpected to see those 2 trading paint. Right, for 3rd position here, Eric Axelsson on the outside of Brad Smith. He's got Dalton-Ayres and Felvers and Edmondson behind, and there's contact as he gets into the back of Brad Smith. The gloves are off here, aren't they, in this final round of the championship with positions and points and prizes up for grabs, and no one is holding back. Axelsson through, Felvers follows him, and Max Edmondson, that's Dalton-Ayres, then Felvers, then off goes Smith, and that will now allow Max Edmondson through into 6th position. So Brad Smith was the aggressor initially a couple of corners earlier, and then ended up, unfortunately, dropping to the tail of that group. Now you've got Dalton-Ayres up the inside of Eric Axelsson. This is for 3rd place, and that was a lovely move. Got to the apex, Axelsson eased out wide, and I think the 2 HFT drivers will both gain out of that.
Yeah, I think Edmondson might as well, actually, because he's going up the inside of Coppis on Axelsson, so Axelsson loses 3 positions in the space of about 100 yards. Now, this is important because Edmondson, all he has to do is finish ahead of Max Bird. Now, Max Bird was involved in the fracas, shall we say, on the exit of the chicane at the end of the 1st lap. That's why he's still fighting with the likes of Brad Smith and having to really chuck his weight about to try and get past these drivers. And there's more weight being chucked about as, this is a bit nasty, isn't it? Brad Smith, Chris Shepherd, is that, I believe? Yes, it is. Andy Carroll involved, and yeah, we'll try and move on from that one, shall we say. But Max Bird back into the top 10 now, but he's got an awfully big ass to try and catch up to Edmondson. But these 2 HFT teammates fighting may help him just a touch.
Yeah, that's Dalton-Ayres then 3rd. Felvers trying to find a way past him as they drop down the hill, and then Edmondson in that 5th place. But yeah, well spotted. Edmondson in 5th place then, and Max Bird languishing down in 9th means that 2nd in the championship would go back to Edmondson. as it stands. Now, if Max Bird can get to within 1 place behind Edmondson, that may start to change. Then they'd be tied on points, and it would go back to the count back. There goes Felvers up the inside of Dalton Ayres for third. The lead gap is coming down as well. Reese Bell and Kenny Press, untroubled by championship battles, are getting themselves together in a pretty entertaining fight for the lead. Here we've got the two HFT teammates very much not working together, and it might be to the benefit of Max Edmondson, who goes up the inside. There's a bit of a hip and shoulder, and another down the straight, and there we go, a fourth bit of contact just for good luck. This is going to end in tears, isn't it? Down into the chicane they go. Edmondson up the inside of both of them. Fantastic stuff. Surely he's not going to get through. Well, he might do, because Felvers bounces through the gravel. Edmondson goes wide on the exit of the chicane, and that might now play back into the hands of Dalton Ayres and even Eric Axelson, who close in behind. Edmondson briefly into third. He might well lose that at Redgate, though.
Yeah, 3 wide almost as Axelson goes from the very outside to the very inside and launches up the inside of all of them. Joel Lask follows on through as well. He's not taking anything, is he, this race? Lask, he's getting his elbows out. He thinks, you know what, if I get punted off in the first race, then I'm just going to do everything I can to come through on the second race. And that's exactly what he is doing. I was going to question slightly Carl Felvers going through and being so adamant on being the one leading the HFT train, considering Elliot Dalton Ayres is very much in for a championship battle in terms of championship prizes. And as this Kenny Press, as they've changed position, haven't they? Reese Bell is now in the race lead.
Yeah, I didn't see how that happened, but Bell goes in front, and now will try to escape before this lot catch them, but they're not going to catch them if they keep on doing this. Edmondson is now third, Lask is fourth, and that's important because that puts him now a couple of positions, a few places actually, ahead of Elliot Dalton Ayres. Remember, Dalton Ayres is 3 points ahead of Lask in the fight for fourth place in the championship, so that could well be of significance come the end of the race. Lask now trying to gain more ground and goes to the outside of Edmondson into the final chicane. Josh Martin joining in the fun as well, comes diving up the inside of Dalton Ayres, who is suddenly finding himself falling down and down the order. Max Bird is on the tail of this group as well. Now, this is important then. Edmondson at the front of the queue, at the back of it. If Edmondson can't escape, then Max Bird still has half a chance of getting that P2 in the championship. But at the moment, Edmondson absolutely can't escape. Tangles with Joel Lask up the inside, tries to go Felvers. This is not over yet for Max Bird.
No, absolutely isn't. Keep in mind that Joel Lask actually ended up on the outside through turn 1 on lap 1, of course, as well. So he's had a fantastic drive. But Felvers and Lask almost getting into each other, and Lask has been gotten into now as he drifts around Old Hairpin. He just about holds it on for the circuit. He will rejoin, but how badly is that going to hurt him? Yet again, it's going to fall in behind. No, it's not going to fall in behind Elliot Dalton Ayres, because Dalton Ayres also went ridiculously wide. Scott Bugner is there to give the assist to Joel, I'm sure, if he needs it. But this is a recovering Max Bird at the inside of him now. And all of a sudden, the championship, it looked gone. It looked done and dusted for second place and potentially for fourth. It is anything but now. Bird goes through ahead of Joel Lask, and it looks like Scott Bugner is damned if he does, damned if he doesn't at this point to try and overtake his teammate.
Well, he really should be helping his teammate, in all honesty. Bugner's got the title wrapped up, and Lask needs to be beating Dalton Ayres by a couple of places here, and that is Dalton Ayres in the yellow car behind. Up the inside of Bird goes Bugner. That was really aggressive on the brakes. Makes the move, but with a bit of contact, there's another tap, and Bird is in the wall. Max Bird is in the barriers coming out of the final corner. That was, I think, Lask who got into the back of him. Lask drops behind Dalton Ayres. That's significant too, but for Max Bird, that might have been one incident too many to bounce back from. We've still got over 11.5 minutes to go, but that puts Bird back in 10th place, and Edmondson in third is pulling away from this group. Brad Smith is off wide in the background as well. Andy Dorman gaining some places, but Max Bird's race goes from bad to worse.
We are seeing also, just to bring it up, some very interesting team driving, shall we say. Elliot Dalton Ayres getting nudged out wide. Now, this is a battle for championship position. I'll get back to the team driving in a second, because this is important, Andy, isn't it? As they go up towards McLean's, it's going to be Dalton Ayres giving the proper hip and shoulder into Joel Lask, and Elliot still just about holding on to that one, but this one looks like it could be starting to boil over as Max Bird throws his hat into the ring.
Yeah, now remember, it was Lask who tangled with Bird at the chicane, and it's Lask who Bird is up the inside of now at Coppice Corner. You don't want to be making enemies when you're fighting for a championship position here, and I think Lask would do well, actually, to let Bird go and then try and follow him past Dalton Ayres. I don't think that's what he's doing, because he's trying to retaliate heading down into the chicane, but Bird should, on the inside line, move back into that 9th position. But look, Edmondson at the front of the queue now is 1.2 seconds. In fact, he's fighting, actually, for second place here with Kenny Press, who I don't think will fight this too hard into Redgate Corner. Edmondson late on the brakes, turns across his nose, and move into second place. Edmondson could yet win this race, actually, because he's only 1.6 seconds behind the race leader, Reece Bell, and should be able to close that gap down. Joel Lask certainly isn't working with Max Bird because they're side by side again out of Redgate corner, and Joel Lask trying to move back through now into this 9th position. Bird, though, of course, will stand his ground through the Craner curves, but that will put him on the outside line for the old hairpin. Lask goes through, and as long as he doesn't run wide on the exit, should make the place his own.
Yeah, but he does run very wide on the exit, doesn't he? Which opens up another opportunity for Bird to have that counter. Now, this is allowing Elliot Dalton-Ayres to run away from these two. And considering Elliot Dalton-Ayres is only wanting to fight with Joel Lask, really, that exactly what's just happened. Max Bird up the inside is everything that Elliot wanted to see in his rearview mirrors, with Andy Carroll going a bit aggressive on Dorman. Now, last little bit to talk about Max Edmondson before he goes for that race lead, which he will do in a couple of laps because he's already gained about half a second on Reece Bell. Oh, Max Bird just going off the circuit there for some reason. Max Edmondson is probably the only driver in a championship battle right now that could potentially go for that fastest lap of the race, which of course is an all-important point. So if he gets the race win and he gets that championship point for fastest lap, all of a sudden we could see him scoring 26 points, which could be crucial and pretty much dagger in the heart of Max Bird, even though he is trying his best to carve his way through. Carl Felvis and Josh Martin get through on Kenny Press as well.
Which is easy for you to say. Down there they go. And yeah, Felvis into 3rd position, and Press now really just trying not to get in the way, which sounds awful, but these are some of the quickest drivers in the championship coming up behind him. Eric Axelsen dives through the old hairpin. This, though, is for the race lead, and Reece Bell, of course, going for his first victory of the season. I would have thought wouldn't make this too easy for Max Edmondson. Max makes it look quite easy by going up the inside at McLean's corner and making the move stick. Reece Bell realistically has one more chance to try and get back at Max before Edmondson starts to get away, and he's not able to do that through Coppice corner. So Max Edmondson into the race lead. 3 times a race winner Max was inside the first 5 races of the season. He's not been on the podium since then until the race earlier on tonight. That is a remarkable stat. That middle part of the championship is really where it all went wrong for Edmondson, who was doing all of the winning in the early part of the season. But yeah, desperately now trying to get back onto the top step of the podium and become a 4-time winner. He would have more wins than anybody else this season. It was just the consistency, really, that let him down.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we mentioned before in the build-up for the reverse grids, build-up for race 1 even. Reverse grids is where you win the championship. And unfortunately for Edmondson, he's been caught up in one too many incidents, hasn't he? And hasn't quite taken advantage of everybody else's. Elliot Dalton-Ayres gets through on Kenny Press, who is bleeding positions. I mean, he enjoyed a good 10 minutes or so on the top 2 steps of the podium. But unfortunately, he'll probably be the first to admit he's not quite got the pace as soon as everybody else calms themselves down and actually gets into a little bit of clean air. So that's a bit of a shame for Kenny, but you never know, he might still hold on to the top 10 because the drivers behind him, Max Bird and Joel Lask, seem to be pretty set on hitting 12 bells out of each other, aren't they? So you never know, that could end up obviously falling apart for those drivers as well. Josh Martin going for a 2nd podium position of the evening. He's got Carl Felvis up ahead of him, who has, I think, quite significantly, you could say, had a bit of an improvement on these front-wheel drive machines, haven't they?
Absolutely, yeah. Both these drivers actually getting really, really quick as the season goes on. Josh Martin, for me, has been the driver of the night so far. He's up the inside of Felvis at the chicane. They make a little bit of contact. Felvis was always going to pay him back on the exit of the corner, and I don't think Josh can really complain too much about that. He's still got the inside line for Redgate corner, actually. Don't go cross on him. That was a bit unnecessary. And Carl Felvis flashing his lights there almost as a warning that he was still there alongside Josh Martin, who has the inside line at Redgate and should be able to squeeze through. Eric Axelsen closing in on this group as well. But yeah, brilliant night this for Josh Martin. A 2nd place could still be in the offing here, and that would make it a really, really strong end to the season for him. Hangs on to 3rd place for the time being, but Reece Bell is only 1.3 seconds further up the road.
Yeah, a double podium, though. It'd mean we see both shoeies, wouldn't it? Both shoes would be off of his mate. I'd be looking forward to seeing that video, I'm sure. Felvis, though, isn't going to let this die. And right on cue, he dives at the inside at McLean's. He's not going to get the move done. But again, very interesting to see how aggressive he's being, especially with Eric Axelsen just behind him. A little bit of a flash in and out of existence there by Kyle. That shows that maybe he's having a touch of internet issues, and we've already seen one driver potentially come undone by internet issues already. Just having a look at seeing how Eric Axelsen and Josh Martin, they are tied on points. So Axelson, at the moment, currently in 5th. Josh Martin in 3rd place. Martin will get that 6th position, won't he? So not a prize, but still pride to be won.
Well, I'm in the process of working that out, but I actually reckon that Josh at the moment is only 4 points behind Joel Lask. So if he can gain some more ground and Lask loses some, that could all change as well. That would be for 5th in the championship. That was for 5th in the race. Scott Bugner up the inside of Eric Axels with a very aggressive move, which somehow pays off. And Bugner moves into P5. But yeah, if Josh Martin can go up there and challenge for 2nd place, and then if Lask were to lose a place as well, which could well happen still, he's only 1.2 seconds, bear in mind, ahead of Max Bird, then Josh Martin could yet sneak into the top 5 in the points. It's been a brilliant night this. What he doesn't need is Felvers applying the pressure to him as they go up the hill, but he can't shake Kyle off, and that for the time being is just affecting his ability to go after Bell in 2nd place.
Yeah, Reece Bell driving very well. They're one of the few drivers on the grid that has absolutely 0 ballast on board, of course. But unlike the other two, i.e. Laramie, Jones, over 3, Laramie, Jones and Hughes, he's actually managed to hold on to his reverse grid positions there or thereabouts. So Reece absolutely flying. I know he's getting a lot of love in the YouTube chat as well. Actually, quite a few people hoping that Josh Martin holds everybody up, because so Reece Bell does actually get that 2nd place. Sorry. With 4 minutes to go, if Felvers starts, sending one up the inside of Martin, then maybe Reece Bell will hold on to this 2nd place. He's doing a brilliant job so far. Edmondson has driven away with it, and right on cue, Felvers does send one up the inside of Josh Martin. Martin trying to hold that high, wide and handsome line, but he's been sent out to the gravel for good measure as well, unfortunately, on that one. So Felvers pretty much doing to Martin what Martin did to Felvers a couple of laps ago.
Yes, he is. So that's not good news for Josh Martin's hopes of getting this 5th place in the championship. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it's the Power Maxed Valeting kit that's up for grabs. But there's also just that little bit of honour that you get, in a way, for finishing inside that top 5, getting one of the prizes. And of course, those Valeting kits are worth quite a bit of cash as well. So yeah, worth going for here for Josh Martin for sure. There is Scott Bugner 5th, Eric Axelson 6th, and Elliot Dalton-Ayres in 7th place. In the background, though, look, something of potential significance is Joel Lask right on the tail of Kenny Press. This is for 8th position, and if he gets this place, would give him an extra point, which gives Lask a bit breathing room over Josh Martin and moves him back 1 point closer to Dalton-Ayres as well in their fight for 4th place in the championship. The gap would come down to 5 instead of 6 points. On the inside goes Lask, and he makes that look very, very easy. Now, 2.5 minutes to go. I'm not sure he's going to catch the group ahead. 8th might be as good as it gets now for Lask, but there's still the potential for others ahead to start changing positions over the final few laps.
Yeah, move up the inside then as well. Felvers goes into 2nd on Reece Bell as Eric Axelson even gets very sideways. I was focusing on my timing tab. I didn't quite see what happened there. Andy, keep a memory of that one so you can let us know if you did see it. But Josh Martin and Felvers now get through on Reece Bell. He won't hold on to that podium position, which is a big shame, but he has had an absolutely brilliant drive up till that point. Now, that could it be significant though, because Bugner, Dalton-Ayres and Axelson, the group behind Reece Bell, they're pretty much throwing everything at each other. If Reece Bell, and he doesn't need to move out the way, there will be no blue flags, he's not a back marker. All of a sudden, that could get a bit of a headache for these 3 drivers. If they're going to try and go through 3 wide at one point, all of a sudden, they might have Reece Bell's back bumper to have to contend with as well. All of a sudden, there's a bit of a headache. Bugner doesn't really need to worry. He's already got a championship, but he wants to help his teammate as best as possible.
Yeah, and Dalton-Ayres will certainly want to move through if he can. Reece Bell, by the way, 3 times this season he's finished in 10th position. They are his 3 best results of the season. So if he can hang on to this 4th place, that really would be an excellent way to finish off his championship campaign. It might even be enough to get him into the top 10 in points. He was 11th in points coming into tonight's races in that leopard print car, which runs in 4th place. It is being caught by the cars behind, but the cars behind are battling again. Up the inside goes Dalton-Ayres. Oh, and Axelson into the side of Bugner into Redgate. That was a really odd incident there. Axelson almost looked like he wasn't sure where Bugner was, but anyway, both of them get past Bugner in the end. Dalton-Ayres to 5th, Axelson 6th, and Scott Bugner probably won't be too happy with that. Now he's looking to the inside. Remember, Bugner, the only way he could possibly start losing the championship now is if he were to start being given penalties. He can't afford penalties, so needs to make sure here that he doesn't get drawn into a daft move. There goes Josh Martin, who really has very little to lose. He may as well go for this. Second place from Carl Felvis would be really, really handy if he is to have any chance of getting this 5th place in the championship, as we've got just under a lap and a half of the season to go.
Yeah, we do indeed, which is a bit of a shame, really. But of course, we do have the touring cars up next in a couple of weeks' time, so it is time to get excited for that. But we'll hold off from any further talk of that for the time being, as Kenny Press goes off the track and gifts an awful lot of praises to an awful lot of drivers, unfortunately. This is Max Edmondson, though. Will he take the checkered flag this time round? I think he might be. Max Edmondson then takes the victory at the Donington Park for I believe, round 12, isn't it, of course? Keeps locking the brakes to as Carl Felvis gets on the podium along with Josh Martin.
Yeah, so Martin couldn't quite get that second place at the end. I think Edmondson perhaps backed off on that last lap to make sure it was the final lap. And that was sensible, really. Why do any more lapping than you need to? A bit of a last corner moment there for Kenny Press means that John Jones will move ahead of him. That's a 4th place in the race. And that was a dramatic way to round out the championship. But Max Edmondson has managed to get the race victory. That is Max's 4th of the season and his 1st win in a reversed grid race. All of his other race wins came from pole position in race 1. So that was really, really strong end to the season for him, actually. It's a shame he had the disappointment in the middle part of the season, the 6-round championship. But Max Edmondson really ending things on a high. He will not be the champion, though. Scott Bugner provisionally is your VRRC Civic Cup champion, and a deserving one as well.
Absolutely, yeah. He's driven brilliantly, and really, that final race summed it up, didn't he? He kept it out of trouble. He scored what he needed to score, which was nothing, but he scored much more than that. It's a fantastic drive by Bugner, but also a good drive by Edmondson as well, who's locking the rear tyres with his handbrake as he drives down the exhibition straight. Hopefully, we'll have a chat to a few of these drivers, Andy. In fact, I can already see they're starting to bleed into our commentary box.
They are indeed. So why don't we talk to the winningest driver in the Civic Cup, Max Edmondson, who is 4 times a race winner. But Max, we were just saying that's your first reversed grid race win. And as much as it's nice to win race 1 from pole position and prove that you really are the fastest driver that week, those reverse grid races, when you do come out on top of them, I'm sure are even more fun.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was the most fun race I've ever had, but it was easy enough, so I'm pretty happy that I wasn't in any of the carnage. I don't think I was anyway, so I'm pretty happy.
No, you moved your way through the fields really excellently, and those reverse grid races really were where they kind of proved to be your downfall in the early part of the season, so nice to see you coming out well in that one. We also think that that should now be enough for you to hang on to second place in the championship, which was, of course, your main target in that, and really it was the progress that you made early on, because you came carving your way through, and Max Bird got sort of caught up in some of the midfield battles. That really is what wrapped up P2 for you.
Yeah. I mean, at the start of this championship, I gave myself 2 challenges, and one was to get a driver of the round, and one was to win the championship, and I haven't managed to do any of them so far, so hopefully this round I can get driver of the round.
Right, well, I think that discussion is ongoing. I actually forgot that you hadn't been given the driver of the round before. That's a very good point. Anyway, congratulations on the race win. Stick around, see if you get that extra prize, but a brilliant season it's been for you, and I'm sure you've had people out there cheering you on, watching on. Anyone you want to say hello to?
My mum and dad and everyone else who they've told to watch. I don't really know, to be fair. Yeah, them 2 mainly.
Right, okay, well, I'm sure you've got plenty of fans watching on at home, and we're very happy to see you get that 4th win of the season. Congratulations to Max Edmondson, though. Second place in the race was Carl Felvis, and he is with Jack now.
Apologies about that. Yeah, Kyle, well, you've been saying all along that you don't like front-wheel drive. I don't think we were going to allow you to say that anymore, because that was a bit of a turnaround here at Donington Park this evening.
It's just Donington. Donington is my favourite track on any calendar we've done. Yeah, I just love Donny. But the car felt good round here, I have to admit.
Wow. Looking a little bit further forward. Well, actually, no, we won't look further forward for the time being, as my watering can falls over the background. Apologies if you heard that.
Josh Martin at the end then was absolutely epic between the 2 of you. Were you sort of safe in the knowledge that you thought, you know what, I can trust Josh, we can have a right good race?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Josh race Not had many battles with him, but I've seen him race other people, so I know he was good, and it was nice, clean racing. We just he gave me a hip check, I gave him a hip check. It was just clean racing all round, to be honest.
Well, fantastic. Apologies, I think my mic has just disconnected. So, Andy, why don't you take over while I reconnect?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, let's Carl Felvers then. Yeah, second place. I mean, front wheel drive hasn't really been your biggest strength, it must be said. But looking ahead, and I think this is where Jack was going with this, we've got this new touring car series coming up in the near future. We're sort of counting on seeing you out there because we enjoy watching you race. Do you think you've learned anything over the course of the season that might help you now moving forward into other front wheel drive series?
I mean, I've done many here at VRRC. I think I just didn't gel with this car, to be honest, but I can't wait to get out on track for this new World Tour series. I've driven that Cupra before, but we've got new tyres and stuff, so it's all looking really good.
Absolutely. We're all really looking forward to it, and glad to hear that we're going to see you out on track as well. Carl, congratulations. Really strong end to the season there, and yeah, look forward to seeing you out in our next championship.
Thank you, Andy.
Carl Felvers then, second place finish for him. Now, third place in the race, and with another really cracking drive there, was Josh Martin. Josh, well done on third position there. The reverse grid races, always a bit of a challenge, and my word, you did not have it easy in that one, did you?
No, I think the reverse grid race is always where I do a bit better, but I was in the thick of it the whole way through. I don't think I had a single clear lap. The 20 minutes went a lot quicker than the first 20 minutes, but yeah, it was really good fun. Couldn't quite get Kyle at the end. Like you said, nice and clean. We both went round race. I made some really good overtakes coming up through the pack. But yeah, I really enjoyed that.
And a really strong end to your championship, really. I mean, you had those couple of podiums previously, but had it not been really for a slightly disappointing Alton Park and Silverstone, you'd have been right up there in the top 5 in points. We just had the final point standings through, and you're 6th in the championship, only 5 points off top 5. You've got to be quite pleased with that.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame because I was hindered with my internet dropping in and out. I've had also any tech problem I think I could have had. I think I've had this season. It took until Croft to get it all, get them all ironed out. So hopefully for the next championship, I'm probably going to do it. So hopefully I have no issues. But no, if it wouldn't have been for those problems, I'd have been right there because I had that DNF at Alton where I think I was running in around 10th when the internet dropped out. So I lost a big chunk of points there, but no, overall I enjoyed it, and the last 2 rounds I think went really well. Yeah,
certainly. You've been right on the pace over the last couple of weeks, which has been really nice to see. It's also been decided, I believe, you might have to fight Max Edmondson for this, but I think it's been decided that you're the recipient of the driver of the round here. Mainly, I think, because everyone forgot that Max hadn't already won it. So apologies, Max. But Josh, because of your brilliant driving in race 1 to get a podium, and again there in race 2, coming so close to that top 5 prize-giving position, the Power Max Valeting kit will be making its way towards you as our final driver of the round of the season. So congratulations.
Ah, brilliant! It's quite nice to get a driver of the day. I'm always right there, but I never really even got it in real life. I'm always right there, always like second choice. So I'll take that.
Well, you're our first choice here tonight, and you can discuss with Max Edmondson whether you share that Valeting kit afterwards. If we could give it to both of you, we would, but that's not an option, unfortunately. Well done, though, Josh, for the brilliant driving and keeping us thoroughly entertained tonight.
Cheers, thank you very much.
And with that, Max Edmondson leaves the chat. Josh Martin, thank you very much. There we go, our final podium interviews of the season. I guess that there is just one more person to have a chat with. And Jack, why don't we have our second word of the night with our champion?
Scott Bugner, champion. You must be, I mean, that must feel pretty good to hear.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. I've done a few seasons with VRRC and I've always been sort of there, but just a few tenths off the pace here and there, and it's just sort of hindered me a little bit. And then I had a season off, and it took me a little while to get used to them Porsches, but front wheel drive I'm a bit more comfortable in.
Well, we'll get on to the next championship in a minute or two, but let's talk about that second race to start with, and potentially the first race, because we didn't have that much time to have a chat with you after the first one. In the first one, you said that there was an opportunity potentially just to sit in second place, sit in third place, see how it evolved around you, but you absolutely gung-ho went for it, didn't you? Was that sort of a conscious decision, like leading up into the corner, or was that a bit of a snap judgment as soon as you hit the brakes? You know what, I could die for this, man.
Bit of both. Obviously me and Max have done quite a bit of practice, and I've just noticed that he brakes a little bit earlier than me into the first corner. So I thought if I can get close enough, I'll give it a go, as long as there's no like big contact. And yeah, I just thought, well, I'm close enough now, and if it slows us down, it means he can then get put under pressure from, I think it was Max Bird in third. So I went for it, and obviously it worked, and then all the carnage kicked off behind me.
Going into race 2, little chat about that one, because you said going into race 2 you wanted to help Joel Lask out a little bit here, there and everywhere. It didn't look like you two were teammates for parts of that, because you were lunging each other left, right and centre, especially into the final chicane. How did the conversation go in Discord on that one?
The thing is, he went up the inside of me, and I left him so much room, and it was sort of like I didn't know if he was backing off to like give me a bit more of a better run, and then go again, and then I just sort of stayed wide, and then he was alongside me into the chicane, and the next minute his car just come steaming up the inside. It's fine, I don't mind, but yeah, it was good fun. It was good fun.
I was going to say, Joel didn't look like he was taking any feces, put it that way, in that last race. He was full pedal to the metal on that one, and it gave us a lot of action to watch, I have to say. Looking into the next season, then obviously Scott, champion of the Civics, you'll be the reigning champion, jumping into a touring car with the hybrid system, with all those extra sort of gizmos in terms of different tyres, different length races. What's your plan for that one?
Put the target on my back, and I think have number 1 on the car will be a start. I think I'll take that off Nicky Taylor now. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really read a lot into it. I will do it. It'll be interesting. Obviously, the new style touring cars this year is quite interesting with the battery power and stuff. So yeah, I think it'll be quite interesting. It'll be all about looking after the tyres, but also not being too aggressive at the start and using all your batteries. So I think it'll be quite good.
Plenty of tactics, that's for sure. He'll take some practice, I'm sure, as well. Scott, congratulations on the championship. Go and enjoy that for the rest of the evening, because Lord knows you deserve it.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the commentary.
No, thank you, Scott. Been an absolute pleasure watching you all season, and I echo Jack's thoughts. A really well-deserved championship for Scott. Right, we've been joined by a familiar voice to many of you regular VRRC viewers. Indeed, he joined me in the commentary box for a round earlier on this season. Dave Marshall, welcome back to the booth. That was a brilliant way to round out what has been a brilliant season, wasn't it?
Yeah, I wish real life was sometimes as nice as that. That was some of the best racing I think I've watched, actually. I mean, a constant train, a brilliant drive by Scott, all championship really. And yeah, some absolutely fantastic driving standards there, and also really nice to see the likes of Reese Bell really sort of learning throughout the championship. And I mean, if he thought he might have been on a podium at the start of the championship, he'd have probably taken it. And what a fantastic drive that was.
Yeah, actually, he's not the only one who has caught my eye over the second half of the season. I feel like we saw, and we always get this in these VRRC championships to an extent, drivers who start off maybe a little bit weaker, then learn the car and get better. But we really seem to have seen that as this season's gone on. Lots of drivers who struggled at the start, people like Kyle Felvers, Josh Martin, another example, Andy Carroll, Andy Dorman, who have suddenly at the end proven themselves to be, consistent front runners. We're seeing here the final points tally. We'll get back to that in a moment. Then Scott Bugner provisionally is the champion. Max Edmondson gets the second place by 11 points in the end over Max Bird in third, and then Elliot Dalton fourth, Joel Lask in fifth. 5 points, all that prevented Josh Martin from moving into a prize-giving position. But yeah, Dave, a lot of those drivers that you can see at the back end of the top 10 at the start of the season were nowhere near the top 10. So it's been really interesting to see that rate of improvement as the season's gone on.
Yeah, definitely. And what one name to pull out the bag there straight away, Andy Carroll, I believe it was, putting a P6 in qualifying, and there was 4 drivers within a 10th, and he was right in that. So yeah, there's definitely, I think it's fair to say, more drivers to look forward to going into the next championship. I think driving is going to be a lot closer, especially in qualifying, probably making it more important as well. So this whole hybrid with the push, the boost to get past other people, it's going to bring that whole different side of strategy into the racing. And actually, gotta admit, I think it's going to be actually really quite complex of what's the best strategy to use during races.
I think it will be the smarter drivers, or the more thinking drivers who come out the best in that, you know, the ones that can take a step back in the heat of the moment and really think about the bigger picture and think about, you know, where to use that hybrid, how to manage your tyres in those longer 40-minute races. That's going to be really interesting as well. And nice to have those 40-minute races in there too, not just the 15-minute sprint races, but a couple of races which are longer than the drivers are used to. And again, I think that will throw something really interesting into the mix.
Yeah, definitely. So a little point from the race that we've just watched. You know, Max Bird race 1. You know, he said he was struggling with pace a little bit there. The front tyres were going off and really had to try and park the bus to stop people trying to get past. The problem being, in the hybrid car, you know, you can do everything you can to try and defend through the corners, but going on the next straight, he'll be a sitting duck if he doesn't also use that hybrid. Therefore, using up it and then, you know, not having it later on in that race. So it's sort of going to allow them drivers that maybe has a bit more right pace, or the ones who maybe look after them tyres a little bit better, you know, the chance to actually pass them drivers who can maybe actually defend slightly better. So yeah, I think it's going to actually blow the next championship really wide open and leave it where multiple drivers have a really good strong chance of finishing well.
No, I think I agree with you there. I think it's going to be a really, really exciting series, much as the VRRC Civic Cup has been. And the final championship standings there we're seeing on the screen, documenting how the drivers got on right at the very end of the season. And those top 5 who all managed to get themselves into the prize-giving positions, which we've been talking about so much over the course of the night. They're all going to be really, really happy. And Jack, these are the prizes that they've managed to win. And Scott Bugner gets himself that 34-inch AGON curved gaming display.
Yeah, hopefully everybody got what they wanted as well, because sometimes that is the case. If you've already got a gaming monitor, sometimes you really want the rig, don't you? Which obviously is the second prize. But hopefully Scott and everybody else is enjoying their prize, and obviously those I think Max Bird coming in 3rd place with 2 tickets to the TCR UK Championship. If Donington was anything to go by, he's in for a right treat, isn't he, Andy? And obviously you might catch a glimpse of you in the commentary box as well. You never know. It's been a fantastic championship. It's been an absolute honour to commentate on it. Hopefully it's been an honour to be racing in as well. And I think only one more rough thing to do, which is tell you all about the different things that are going on in VRRC as a whole, in the VRRC multiverse, really. So there we go. There's the graphic. Forza Horizon 5 up there in there on the right-hand side. That's, of course, jump in the Discord, just have a casual chat about Forza and everything that's going on with casual sim racing. If you want to jump into our Assetto Corsa competitions, well, the championships, the time attack, the fun races that are getting involved every Saturday night for pretty much anyone as well, by the way. So if you're watching this one and you're thinking, you know what, I like the sound of that touring cars, well, jump over, but you know, you've never been a part of VRRC, you don't know how the setup works, you don't know how to install mods on a Assetto Corsa or anything like that, well, jump in one of our fun races, because you'll get all the assistance, and it's for free, it's for nothing. You can just jump on, sign up, and you know, get going, basically. If you're into Assetto Corsa Competizione, more style like endurance championships, then we do endurance races weekly, and Dirt Rally 2.0, of course, the Monday to Sunday weekly stages, and Rallycross, so plenty to look forward to. But probably the one we're most looking forward to is one we've mentioned quite a bit tonight, which is, of course, Andy, the next championship.
It is, absolutely, yes. Lots going on the VRRC, but this is the headline news, really. It all begins on the 29th of June, and we'll run weekly on Wednesday night, so exactly the same format as you're used to with our Civic Cup and the previous couple of series, with the broadcast beginning at just before 7:30 UK time, and we visit some of the great racetracks across Europe. The Barcelona circuit in Spain, Paul Ricard in France, Monza is where we'll have our first 40-minute race before we head to Austria and the Red Bull Ring, Germany and Hockenheim, then the second of our endurance races at Spa before Zandvoort in Holland, and Silverstone in the UK, fittingly, will host the championship decider. As Jack said, head to the VRRC social media links. You can see them all there at the bottom of the screen, and the Discord channel for all of the information on how to watch, but more importantly, how to enter. We would love to see you out there on the track and getting your name and perhaps your voice on our broadcasts if you're up there on the podium. It would be fantastic to see a big grid of these hybrid touring cars doing battle around some of Europe's best championships. And you've got a couple of weeks before it all kicks off as well, so time to get your entry and get a bit of practice in ahead of the start of the season. and we look forward to seeing plenty of you there. For now, though, that is it, I think, from the team here at VRRC. Jack, a wonderful championship we've had. Your final thoughts on what we've seen over the last 6 weeks?
A deserved champion in Scott Bugner, a deserved battle right to the wire for second, for fourth, with all those different drivers that we've seen. Alton and Brands Hatch were sensational. Croft was a bit of a, as I said, put a pin on it and move on. But yeah, hopefully everybody who's jumped in for this particular championship will be joining us next time, because they made it brilliant.
Certainly did, as did the whole team here at the VRRC. A huge thanks to Jack for his wonderful co-commentary, also to Tom O'Farrell, who's been giving us these beautiful pictures and doing his very best to show us everything happening on the track, which at times was something of an impossible task. To Dave Marshall as well for all of his help, even stepping into the commentary box for a night, and of course to Rich Hayden and the whole VRRC team for putting the whole thing together. Finally, thank you to all of you who have tuned in to watch, be you supporting drivers or just here for the entertainment. We really appreciate you coming along to support the racing here on the VRRC, and we hope to see you again in a few weeks when our European Touring Car Championship, Hybrid Touring Car Championship, gets underway. For now, though, from everyone here at the VRRC, that's all we've got time for. The VRRC Civic Cup has been an absolute thrill, and we'll be back in a few weeks to do it all over again.
Woo!